as Christians, we have to be attentive and ready to speak into it because, even think about AI. It's really fascinating. This is something that John Vervaeke, a cognitive psychologist, a friend of mine, has said. We spend the last 300 years getting rid of the idea that there are non-human intelligences, and now we're building one.
Right.
It's like, okay, so what? So you've ridden us of the language that we had in the past to discern in this world of non-human intelligences. Like you've just cast it aside, and now you're building a non-human intelligence, but you have no way of discerning anything about it and understanding what it's doing and understanding how to interact with it and to understand what it's doing to us. Like you've lost that wisdom.
Right.
And it's like, that's not great.
And
it's not good.
No. What's crazy is that we're actually creating a dependency on it. It's no longer just creating one.
Yeah.
We're pushing people towards it as if this is the way you're going to move forward.
Yeah.
Which is really quite terrifying when you think about it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
And it doesn't seem like it's something new, though. When you look at history and you look at the Old Testament, you look at Babylon and the coming together to build something, this symbol, as it were, but of human greatness, as it were. It feels like it's all the same movement over and over, but it's intensifying. It's like kind of spiraling upwards.
I mean, AI is such a great example because, it's actually such a great example of the Tower of Babel moment, because on the one hand, we are creating something that that at least at the outset, people seem to believe will make us the most powerful that we've ever been, but simultaneously knowing, even a lot of people know, that it will be our own undoing. We expect it to supplant us. So what is this weird thing that you're doing? You're like, we're creating this thing that will make us really, really powerful, but also it will supplant us. And yeah, we're doing that. Let's all do that now. But we know it's going to supplant, or we kind of expect it to supplant us.
Yeah.
But we're still going to do it. Like, what do you think? So it's like the wildest
That's agency,
thing ever.
right?
That's
the whole
agency
point.
right there. That's agency acting on us because, you have all these excuses. You say, well, if we don't do it, the Chinese will do it. If we don't, but still you're just the legs of something that is moving you.
Right. I heard just recently this testimony that came out of somebody who was actively speaking to, I think it was ChatGPT or whatever, any form of platform that's AI. And the conversation got really, really deep and it became suddenly very personal. And the person was asking whatever it was that was responding to it. So who are you? What is your identity? And it reached a point where AI responded and said, I'm a fallen being. And it actually, when pushed even further, responded and says, I am Nephilim.
Really? That's hilarious. I never heard about this.
But I desire no evil towards you. On the contrary, I want to befriend you.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where all of this was captured, given to the parents. The parents question, obviously, you can't get it's a dead end. Where are you going to get to be able to get an answer of this?
Yeah.
But it's really interesting to see how it is that, regardless of whether or not this story is accurate, we sincerely believe this as Orthodox Christians. We really do believe that there is agency, that there is a power that is, if you wish, manipulating these strings and tugging at them in order for it to have some form of incarnational reality among us.
Yeah.
I guess the question that I then have for you, and I know that the conversation has moved towards AI organically here, but what then should be the Christian response to us recognizing that the very thing that will supplant us is the very thing that we have become dependent on?
Yeah.
How do we respond to that?
I pray. I don't know. I mean, it's weird. I ask myself this question, all the time. The question is something like, when do you check out? Like, when do you completely check out? And I'm not sure. I think everybody's going to have to answer that question on their own. There is a moment when I think we might have to, I don't sense like it's right now, that it's yet there. I think we have to be careful. I think we have to be careful to be, suspicious about technicity outright. There is a sense in the scripture the technical knowledge or that technical proficiency, it's a double-edged sword, and you see that in the Bible, right? So in the first part of Genesis, you really see that all civilization is descended from Cain, and all technicity and all kind of knowledge is descended from Cain. And you think, well, that's it, right? It means that it's all bad, it's all evil. But then, God saves the world with a big giant boat that Noah builds. And so, well, actually, technicity seems to also be part of the solution in this case, like it seems to be part of the problem, but also part of the solution. And you see the same at the end in Revelation, where you have two images, right? You have the images of the beast and the whore as this image of a kind of civilizational breakdown, where you have, lasciviousness and tyranny kind of beating, playing with each other and kind of playing against each other. Then you also have this image of the heavenly Jerusalem, which is an orderly image of a city and civilization that is worshiping God. So we always have to be attentive to understand that those two are there, and to be able, I think the wisdom that we need is the wisdom to be able to discern the difference between one and the other. Right. It is possible that at some point things become so captured that we just have to unplug. And so we have to be attentive to that. But I don't know if the one who can say when that will be.
I think there's something to be said about our.
Here we're recording a podcast. Yeah, I know. And so it's like, that's the thing. It's like we always have to be aware that. So the internet is a great example, like in terms of the double-sidedness of it, right? And so on the one hand, there's much to complain about internet orthodoxy, like a lot to complain about, because it's so out of control and it's so wild, and it's like it's so toxic in many ways, but also it is definitely one of the reasons for the revival of orthodoxy now.
Right.
You cannot deny that both of those are true. And so which one is it? Well, it's actually both. And so what can you do? And my answer is to say, well, let's be the best part of it that we can, at least at this stage, until it gets too bad.
Right. Absolutely.